I'm so glad we could meet. Me too. It's always nice. We should do this more often. Hey, you've been on that for hours. Just a minute, this is important. All right, I'm listening now.
I just want you to be happy.
I am. Right here with you.
I need to talk to you.
What's wrong?
It's complicated. We need to meet.
You've been so quiet lately. Is everything okay?
I'm fine, just a lot on my mind.
You can talk to me.
This sunset is incredible, isn't it? Yeah, it's perfect. Glad we came. We should do this more often. No, this can't be real. I have to get out of here.
Hey, look at me.
Sorry, you have my full attention.
That's better.
I'm really glad we could meet. Me too. It's good to see you. I've missed this.
I know you're scared, but we have to face this.
It's not that simple.
It can be.
How?
I used to believe love was about staying. About choosing one person every day and trusting that they would choose you back. I believed that because of Evan. Or maybe I believed it because I needed to. You're overthinking again, Evan said once, laughing softly through the phone. You always do that. I just miss you, I replied. That's all. You just saw me 2 days ago. Yeah, but still. He sighed, not angry, just tired. You're too attached, you know that? I laughed it off back then. I'm just in love. That was how things always went. I explained myself. He dismissed it. And I convinced myself that was normal. I met Evan 4 years ago at a friend's birthday party. He stood next to me while we waited for drinks and said, "You look uncomfortable. Want to escape with me?" I smiled. "Only if you promise not to make it worse." "I promise nothing," he said, grinning. That night turned into coffee the next day. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into weekends together. Somewhere between borrowed hoodies and late-night calls, I stopped imagining a future that didn't include him. You ever think about where you'll be in 5 years? I asked him once while we lay on his couch. With you, he said without hesitation. That answer wrapped around my chest like safety. I built my routines around Evan without even noticing. I woke up when he woke up. I stayed up late when he wanted to talk. I turned down plans because I preferred being with him. Don't you ever get tired of adjusting your life for him? My friend Lena asked one afternoon. What do you mean? I said. You cancel on me a lot lately. I'm just busy. With Evan. I shrugged. That's what relationships are. She watched me carefully. They're also about balance. He loves me, I said quickly. I didn't say he didn't. Lena never pushed too hard. She just planted seeds and hoped I'd notice them grow. I didn't. Evan and I had small traditions. Sunday breakfasts. Friday movies. Random midnight drives where we talked about nothing important. You're my safe place, he told me once as we sat in his car. I held on to that sentence longer than I should have. Sometimes, though, there were moments that didn't fit. Missed calls. Short replies. Excuses that sounded rehearsed. You didn't text me back last night, I said one morning. I fell asleep, he replied. At 8? I was tired. I wanted to ask more, but I didn't. I didn't want to be the clingy one. That word stayed in my head even before he ever said it out loud. You okay? Evan asked me during dinner one night. Yeah, I said. Why? You're quiet. I'm just thinking. About? Us. He smiled. We're fine. That smile ended the conversation. I told myself I was lucky. I told myself love wasn't perfect. I told myself that needing reassurance didn't mean something was wrong. You love him more than he loves you, Lena said gently one evening while we walked. That's not true. You make excuses for him a lot. He's just stressed. About what? Work. Life. Stuff. She stopped walking. And what about you? I'm fine. You don't sound fine. I am, I insisted. I just need to be patient. Patient with what? With him. She didn't argue. She just nodded. That worried me more than if she had. Evan used to call me every night. Then it became every other night. Then it became whenever he felt like it. You don't have to wait up for me, he said once. I'm not waiting, I replied, even though I was. I stayed awake staring at my phone, telling myself not to care. When it buzzed, relief flooded me. When it didn't, anxiety crept in. You're making this bigger than it is, Evan said when I finally brought it up. I just want to feel included. I don't need to report every move to you. I'm not asking for that. Then what are you asking for? I didn't know how to answer without sounding weak. I just want to feel like I matter, I said quietly. He looked at me like I was asking for too much. You're being dramatic, he said. That word hurt more than silence. Still, I stayed. I stayed because of the past. Because of the promises. Because of the future I had already planned in my head. I imagined holidays together. I imagined growing older. I imagined a version of Evan that stayed the same. You think I'm going anywhere? He joked once. I laughed. I hope not. You're stuck with me. I held on to that like truth. The last week before everything changed felt strange. Evan was distracted. He checked his phone constantly. Who's that? I asked casually. No one, he said too quickly. I noticed. I said nothing. Dinner tomorrow? I asked him that morning. Yeah, he replied. 7. I smiled all day. At 6:30, I texted him. On my way. No reply. At 6:45, I called. It rang. Then voicemail. At 7, my phone buzzed. Something came up. Can we do another time? That was it. No explanation. No apology. I stared at the screen, my chest tight. Are you serious? I typed, then erased it. I sat alone at the table I had set for 2. The food went cold. Lena called. How was dinner? It got cancelled, I said. Again. You sound tired. I'm just hungry. You want company? No, I said quickly. I'll be fine. After I hung up, I sat there longer than I should have. I told myself not to overthink. I told myself this was normal. But something felt wrong. And for the first time, I couldn't explain it away. I told myself the silence was temporary. That was the lie I repeated every morning when I woke up and checked my phone before my eyes were fully open. No new messages. I stared at the screen and whispered, "It's fine." I sent Evan a text anyway. Morning. 3 hours passed. At noon, my phone buzzed. Busy. That was it. I typed back, "Call me later?" He didn't respond. I kept my phone beside me all day, like if I looked away, I'd missed something important. Every vibration that wasn't him felt like a disappointment. That evening, I finally called. "Hey," he answered, his voice flat. "Hey," I said quickly. "I've been trying to reach you." "I know. Are you okay?" "Yeah. Why wouldn't I be? You've been distant." He laughed lightly. "You're imagining things." "I'm not," I said. "You barely talk to me anymore." "I talk. You reply. That counts." "It doesn't feel like it does." There was a pause. Then he said, "You're overthinking again." That phrase again. Like a shield he hid behind. "I just want to understand what's going on," I said. "What's going on is life," he replied. "Not everything is about you." That stung more than I expected. "I didn't say it was," I said. "I just miss us." "We're still us," he said quickly. "Relax. Relax." Like I was the problem. After we hung up, I sat on my bed and stared at the wall. I tried to replay his voice, searching for warmth. I told myself I heard it. I told myself everything was normal. But normal didn't feel like this. Normal didn't feel like waiting hours for one-word replies. Normal didn't feel like conversations that ended before they started. The next day, I tried again. "Want to grab lunch?" I asked over text. "Can't." "Dinner?" "We'll see." That response sat heavy in my chest. "We'll see" felt like a door half closed. That night, Lena came over with takeout. "You've barely eaten," she said, setting the bag down. "I'm not hungry." "You're stressed." "I'm fine." She raised an eyebrow. "You say that a lot." "I am fine." "You look like you're waiting for bad news." "I'm not," I said too quickly. She sat across from me. "Talk to me." "There's nothing to say." "You've been quiet all week." "So has Evan," I muttered. She caught that immediately. "He's still acting distant?" "He's just busy." "With what?" "I don't know." "Does he tell you?" "Not everything." "Does he tell you anything?" I didn't answer. Lena leaned back. "You're shrinking yourself for him." "I'm being understanding." "You're being ignored." "He wouldn't ignore me." She softened her voice. "He already is." I shook my head. "You don't know him like I do." "I know what I see." "You're reading into it." "Or you're refusing to." That annoyed me. "Why are you trying to make this worse?" "I'm not," she said. "I'm trying to protect you." "I don't need protection." "You need honesty." "I have it." "Do you?" she asked quietly. I didn't respond. Because if I did, I'd have to admit I wasn't sure. After Lena left, I texted Evan again. "Miss you." An hour passed. Then 2. Finally, he replied. "Been a long day." I stared at the message, my thumb hovering. "Want to talk?" I typed. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. No reply. I lay back on my bed and closed my eyes. I tried to remember the last time he had called me just because he wanted to. I couldn't. The next time I saw him in person, he felt like a stranger. "You look tired," I said as we sat across from each other. "Work," he replied. "You always say that." "Because it's true." I watched him check his phone. Again. "Is everything okay between us?" I asked. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Why wouldn't it be? You don't touch me anymore. That's not true. You don't. He shrugged. You're keeping score now? I'm noticing. There's a difference. I took a breath. Did I do something wrong? He laughed. Here we go. I'm serious. So am I, he said. You're creating problems. I'm reacting to them. There are no problems. Then why does it feel like I'm losing you? He looked away. You're not losing anything. That answer felt empty. Then talk to me, I said. Really talk to me. About what? About why I feel like I'm being pushed out. You're not being pushed, he said. You're just intense lately. That word again. Like I was too much. I'm intense because I care. And that's exhausting, he replied before catching himself. We both froze. I didn't mean that, he said quickly. But he did. I nodded slowly. Okay. Okay, he asked. Okay, I repeated, even though nothing was. On my way home, my phone rang. It was Lena. How did it go? She asked. He says I'm imagining things. And do you believe him? I want to. That's not an answer. I don't know what to do, I admitted. Stop chasing someone who won't meet you halfway. What if he just needs time? What if you're just afraid to let go? That question followed me into sleep. The next few days blurred together. Short texts. Missed calls. Half answers. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Every time it wasn't him, my chest tightened. I started noticing things I had ignored before. How he never asked about my day. How he never made plans anymore. How I was always the one reaching out. I told myself relationships had phases. I told myself love wasn't always loud. I told myself not to panic. Then one night, after hours of silence, I finally called him. Hey, I said. Can we talk? He sighed. Not now. When then? Later. When is later? Later, he repeated. My stomach dropped. That's all you ever say, I said quietly. Because you always push, he replied. I'm asking for clarity. And I'm asking for space. I swallowed. Are you still choosing me? There was a pause. Too long. Let's talk later, he said. The call ended. I stared at my phone, that phrase echoing in my head. Talk later. It felt like a warning. And I couldn't shake the feeling that later was when everything would finally fall apart. I knew something was wrong the moment Evan asked me to meet him in public instead of his place. Why here? I asked when I sat down across from him. It's closer to work, he said, not looking at me. That should have been my warning. He didn't smile. He didn't reach for my hand. He kept his phone face down on the table like it was hiding something. So, I said, forcing lightness into my voice, what did you want to talk about? He exhaled slowly. I don't want you to freak out. My chest tightened. Why would I freak out? He shrugged. You tend to. That annoyed me, but fear drowned it out. Just say it. He leaned back in his chair, calm, almost relaxed. I'm seeing someone. I blinked. Seeing someone? Yeah. The word echoed in my head. Seeing. Like it was casual. Like it was nothing. You're joking, I said. He smiled faintly. No. I laughed once, sharp and confused. Since when? He hesitated, then shrugged. A while. A while. My throat went dry. A while? I repeated. What does that mean? It means I didn't think it mattered. Didn't think it mattered? My voice rose before I could stop it. We're together. He tilted his head. Were. That single word hit harder than anything else he could have said. Were. I whispered. Since when did that change? You're making this dramatic. I'm trying to understand, I said. Who is she? He hesitated again, then said casually, her name's Maya. The name felt foreign in my mouth. Maya. She's cool, he added. Easygoing. Easygoing. Not like me. How long? I asked again, slower this time. He looked away. A few months. A few months. I stared at him. You were with me. And now I'm not, he said plainly. My hands shook. So all those nights you were busy. He didn't deny it. You let me think I was crazy, I said. I didn't let you think anything. You watched me doubt myself, I said. You watched me wait. He frowned slightly. You could have stopped waiting. I didn't know there was someone else, I said. He shrugged again. I didn't think you needed details. Details. Like my heart was paperwork. Did she know about me? I asked. He paused. Not at first. And now? She knows. And she's okay with it? She didn't care, he said. We're together now. Together. The word burned. What about us? I asked. He looked genuinely confused. What about us? My chest felt tight, like there wasn't enough air. You said we had a future. I said a lot of things. Did you mean any of them? He didn't answer right away. Then he said, things change. I laughed softly, broken. I planned my life around you. That was your choice. I flinched. You told me to. I never forced you. No, I said. You just let me believe. He checked his watch. Look, I didn't want to do this over text. That's considerate of you, I said bitterly. He sighed. You'll be fine. That sentence shattered something in me. I loved you, I said. He nodded. I know. I still do. He looked uncomfortable. That's not my fault. I stared at him, searching for regret. For guilt. For anything that showed this mattered. There was nothing. She makes me feel lighter, he said, almost proudly. I swallowed. And I made you feel heavy? You needed too much reassurance. I needed honesty. I didn't want to hurt you. You did, I said. He shrugged. Pain passes. I felt like I was shrinking in my chair. Did I ever matter to you? He paused, then said, at the time. At the time. I nodded slowly. So I was just a phase. That's not what I said. It's what it sounds like. He leaned forward. You'll move on. You already did. That doesn't mean you can't. I stood up, my legs unsteady. I need to go. Don't make a scene, he said. I laughed, hollow. I'm not you. I walked out before he could say anything else. Outside, the air felt colder. I leaned against the wall and tried to breathe. My phone buzzed. It was Lena. Did you talk to him? She asked. He has a girlfriend, I said. There was silence. Then, I'm so sorry. He said it like it was nothing. I knew it, she whispered. He didn't even feel bad. That's worse, she said. I slid down to the ground. I feel stupid. You trusted him. I defended him. You loved him. I closed my eyes. He moved on while I was still holding on. Lena's voice softened. Come over. I can't, I said. I need to be alone. Don't isolate yourself. I just need quiet. Promise you'll call me later. I promise, I said, though I wasn't sure. I hung up and sat there until the sky darkened. Every word he said replayed in my head. A while. Things change. At the time. You'll be fine. I went home and sat on my bed, staring at nothing. I wondered how long he had been lying to me. I wondered how many moments were fake. I wondered when I stopped being chosen. And no matter how many times I replayed the conversation, the tone stayed the same. Calm. Casual. Detached. Like I had never mattered at all. I didn't plan the call. My hands moved before my brain could stop them. His name lit up the screen, and my chest tightened as it rang. Hey, Evan said when he picked up, casual as ever. Hey, I replied. My voice shook. I need to talk to you. About what? He asked. Didn't we already clear things up? No, I said. You told me you moved on like it was nothing. He sighed. Because it is nothing now. That hurt, but I pushed through it. You lied to me for months. I didn't lie, he said. I just didn't explain. That's the same thing. You're being dramatic again. I swallowed. I trusted you. And I didn't cheat on you, he replied quickly. You emotionally disappeared, I said. You made me feel crazy. He laughed softly. Not loud. Not cruel. Almost amused. Why are you laughing? I asked. Because you're still acting like this, he said. Like we're married or something. That sentence landed heavy. I gave you years of my life, I said. And, he replied. That doesn't mean I owe you forever. I'm not asking for forever, I said. I'm asking why you treated me like I didn't matter. He paused, then said lightly, you just cling too much. I froze. What? You cling, he repeated, like it was obvious. You always have. I loved you, I said. And that's fine, he said. But you shouldn't cling to someone who's moved on. The word echoed in my head. Cling. Like I was desperate. Like I was embarrassing. You let me think we were still together, I said. You let yourself think that, he replied. My chest felt tight. So everything we had just disappears? It doesn't disappear, he said. It just stops mattering. I laughed once, shaky. You're joking. He chuckled. I'm being honest. You're mocking me, I said. I'm trying to help you move on, he replied. This whole clinging thing isn't a good look. That sentence cracked something inside me. A good look? I repeated. Yeah, he said. It's awkward. I felt heat rush to my face. Shame burned deeper than anger. So I'm embarrassing now? I asked. You're making it that way, he said. If you'd just relax. Relax? My voice broke. You replaced me. I didn't replace you, he said. I upgraded my situation. Upgrade. I closed my eyes. You're cruel. He scoffed. You're sensitive. I trusted you with my heart. And now you need to take it back, he replied. That's not my job anymore. I felt small. Smaller than I ever had with him. Did you ever care? I asked. Of course I did, he said. Just not like you wanted. So my feelings were a problem. They were heavy, he said. You needed constant reassurance. I needed basic respect. He laughed again. Louder this time. See? This is what I mean. What? I asked. This, he said. The emotional spiral. I'm hurt, I said. And I'm tired, he replied. This conversation is going nowhere. I just want you to admit you hurt me. He paused. Then said, okay. I hurt you. My chest lifted for half a second. But, he continued, you hurt yourself more by clinging. That destroyed whatever hope I had left. So this is my fault, I said quietly. I'm not blaming you, he replied. I'm just saying you should stop acting like a victim. That word felt like a slap. I was loyal to you, I said. And I didn't ask you to be, he replied. Silence stretched between us. I feel stupid, I admitted. That's on you, he said. Tears burned my eyes. You don't even feel bad. I feel relieved, he answered honestly. That honesty crushed me. Relieved? I whispered. Yes, he said. I don't have to deal with this anymore. I pressed my hand to my mouth to keep from sobbing. You used me, I said. I didn't, he replied. You just gave more than I did. And you took it. That was your choice. I felt like I was shrinking with every word. Why are you being so cold? I asked. Because dragging this out helps no one, he said. Especially not you. You're not helping me, I said. I'm telling you the truth, he replied. Stop clinging. Stop embarrassing yourself. Move on. Something shattered inside my chest. Don't call me embarrassing, I said, my voice barely there. He sighed. I'm done with this conversation. Wait, I said quickly. Please don't hang up. There was a pause. I really cared about you, I said. I still do. That's your problem, he replied. Then the line went dead. I stared at my phone, my hands shaking. Hello? I whispered, even though I knew he was gone. The silence felt loud. Heavy. Final. I slid down against the wall, my knees pulling to my chest. My phone slipped from my hand and hit the floor. Clinging. Embarrassing. Upgrade. His words replayed again and again, each one cutting deeper. I felt foolish for every excuse I made for him. For every moment I waited. For every time I chose him over myself. I hugged my knees tighter, trying to hold myself together. Something inside me had cracked open. I didn't know yet what would grow from it. But I knew I would never be the same again. I didn't plan to see Daniel. I wasn't looking for comfort, or answers, or anything that felt like connection. I just needed air. Somewhere that didn't remind me of Evan's voice. I ended up at the small cafe near the park, the one Evan and I used to avoid because he said it was too quiet. I liked that about it. I sat alone with a coffee I didn't touch, staring at the table like it might explain how everything fell apart so fast. Hey, a voice said carefully. I looked up, already irritated, ready to ask for space. Then I froze. Daniel stood there, his hands in his jacket pockets, concern written plainly on his face. Oh, I said. Hey. I wasn't sure it was you, he said. You looked different. Tired? I guessed. He gave a small smile. That too. I gestured to the chair across from me. You can sit. If you want. Are you sure? He asked. I nodded. Yeah. He sat slowly, like he didn't want to crowd me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. You okay? He asked gently. I laughed once, bitter. That's a loaded question. I figured, he said. You don't have to answer. Something about that made my chest ache. I'm not okay, I admitted. He nodded, like he'd expected that. Want to tell me what happened? I hesitated. You don't have to get involved. I'm not here to take sides, he said. I'm here because you look like you're barely holding together. That did it. I looked down at my hands. Your brother broke up with me. Sort of. Daniel's jaw tightened slightly. He said nothing. He has a girlfriend, I continued. Has had one for months. Daniel exhaled slowly. I didn't know. I believed him when he said I was overthinking, I said. I defended him to everyone. Daniel stayed quiet, letting me speak. He laughed when I told him I was hurt, I said. He told me I was clinging. Daniel's eyes darkened, just a little. I felt stupid, I added. Like I made everything up in my head. You didn't, he said calmly. I looked at him. How do you know? Because I've seen him pull away before, Daniel said. And I've seen what it does to people. I swallowed. Why didn't you say anything? It wasn't my place, he said. And I hoped he'd grow up. I nodded slowly. I kept waiting for him to choose me. Daniel leaned forward slightly. You shouldn't have had to wait. That simple sentence settled somewhere deep in my chest. I feel embarrassed, I admitted. Like I should have known better. Being hurt doesn't make you weak, he said. It makes you human. I laughed softly. He didn't see it that way. I know, Daniel said. He's always struggled with accountability. I looked up sharply. You don't have to defend him. I'm not, he replied. I'm just explaining, not excusing. That mattered. He didn't trash Evan. He didn't justify him either. He just told the truth. We sat there for a moment, the quiet wrapping around us. I don't know what to do now, I said. Everything I planned was tied to him. Daniel nodded. That's the hardest part. How do you just start over? I asked. You don't, he said. You start forward. I stared at my coffee. I feel empty. That feeling doesn't last, he said. But it does need space. I don't think I've had space in a long time, I said. I can tell, he replied. I looked at him. Why are you being so kind to me? He didn't hesitate. Because no one deserves to be treated the way you were. My throat tightened. I don't want to cause problems between you and Evan, I said quickly. You won't, he said. That's on him. I hesitated. Does he know you're here? No, Daniel said. And I'm not hiding it. I just didn't announce it. I nodded. I appreciate you not making this weird. I'm not here to complicate your life, he said. I'm here to make sure you're not alone. That word echoed. Alone. I thought I was, I said quietly. You're not, he replied. We talked for a while after that. Not about Evan. About small things. Work. Music. Random memories that didn't hurt. It felt strange, in a good way. Easy. Safe. At one point, I realized something that startled me. I wasn't explaining myself. I wasn't defending my feelings. I was just speaking. You're allowed to take up space, Daniel said when I mentioned feeling like too much. I looked at him. He used to say I needed too much reassurance. Daniel frowned. Wanting consistency isn't a flaw. That's not how he made it sound. I know, Daniel said. He has a way of minimizing things he doesn't want to deal with. I exhaled. I thought I was broken. You're hurt, he corrected. There's a difference. When we stood to leave, I felt lighter than I had in days. Thank you, I said. For listening. Any time, he replied. Really? I hesitated. I don't want to cross any lines. There are no lines, he said. Just respect. That meant more than he knew. As we walked outside, the air felt clearer. I should get going, I said. Daniel nodded. Take care of yourself. I'll try. He paused, then said quietly, You didn't deserve that. The words hit me harder than anything Evan had said. I stood there, frozen, as Daniel walked away. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt seen. And that changed everything. Evan called me the next afternoon like nothing had happened. Hey, he said. I need you to do something. I already felt sick. What? I need you to apologize to Maya. I laughed once, sharp and empty. You're joking. I'm serious, he said. It'll avoid drama. Drama? I repeated. You cheated on me. I didn't cheat, he said quickly. We were already over. You never told me that. You knew things weren't working. That doesn't mean I knew about her. He sighed. This isn't about you. That sentence dropped heavy in my chest. You want me to apologize, I said slowly, to the woman you replaced me with. Don't phrase it like that, he replied. She feels uncomfortable. I gripped my phone. And how do you think I feel? You'll get over it, he said. But she's still around. Still around. Like I wasn't. Why do I need to apologize? I asked. Because you've been emotional, he said. And I don't want tension. Tension? I laughed again. You humiliated me. You're making it worse, he said. Just say sorry and move on. I should have hung up. I should have said no. But a part of me still wanted peace. Still wanted to be the reasonable one. Still hoped that if I did this, something would soften. Fine, I said quietly. Good, he replied, relief clear in his voice. I'll put her on. Wait, I said. I don't want to. The line clicked. Hi, a woman said. Her voice was calm. Curious. Hi, I replied, my throat tight. This is me. I know, Maya said. Evan told me. Of course he did. I just wanted to say, I began, forcing the words out, I'm sorry if I caused any discomfort. There was a pause. For what exactly? She asked. My face burned. For not knowing about you sooner. She hummed softly. That's not really your fault. I swallowed. I just wanted things to be peaceful. I appreciate that, she said coolly. But Evan's been clear about boundaries. Boundaries. After everything. I understand, I said, even though I didn't. You seemed very attached, she continued. I hope you're working on that. My chest tightened. Yes, I whispered. I am. She paused. All right then. That was it. No warmth. No empathy. Thanks for apologizing, she said. It makes things easier. The call ended. I stared at my phone, my hands shaking. Evan came back on the line. See? That wasn't so hard. I said nothing. That's all I needed, he added. I knew you'd be mature about it. Mature. Like this was growth, not humiliation. You feel better now? I asked. Yeah, he said. This clears things up. What about me? I asked. What about you? He replied. I felt hollow. Nothing, I said. Good, he replied. Then we're done here. The call ended. I sat there, unmoving, staring at the wall. My reflection in the dark screen looked smaller somehow. I replayed the apology in my head. Every word tasted wrong. Forced. Empty. I had bent myself into something unrecognizable just to keep the peace. And it still wasn't enough. My phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Are you okay? I didn't answer. Another message came a few minutes later. Evan mentioned something weird. Call me when you can. I couldn't bring myself to explain. I felt ashamed. Hours passed before I finally typed back. He made me apologize to her. The reply came almost instantly. What? I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I could almost hear Daniel's reaction through the silence. Later that night, Lena called. Did you talk to him? She asked. I apologized to his girlfriend, I said flatly. She inhaled sharply. He did not. He did. Why would you do that? She asked. I thought it would make things easier. For who? She demanded. I didn't answer. Oh my God, she said softly. He broke you. I let him, I whispered. That doesn't make it okay. I feel disgusting, I admitted. Like I erased myself. You didn't erase yourself, she said. He pushed. And I moved, I replied. Every time. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling. I thought about how far I'd gone just to keep someone who didn't want me. I thought about how quiet I'd become. How small. I thought about Daniel's words in the cafe. You didn't deserve that. And suddenly, I understood something painful and clear. I had lost all dignity trying to hold on to someone who never cared if I fell. I didn't decide to stop reaching out to Evan all at once. It happened slowly, almost by accident, like my hands learned something my heart hadn't caught up to yet. The first morning I didn't text him, I noticed the quiet immediately. No checking my phone every few minutes. No rehearsing messages in my head. No waiting for a reply that might never come. The silence hurt. But it also felt clean. I told myself it was temporary. Just a break. Just space. That was another lie. My phone buzzed later that day. You good? Evan texted. I stared at the message longer than I should have. Yeah, I replied. Nothing else. No explanation. No follow-up question. That should have told me everything. Daniel texted that evening. Just checking in. No pressure to reply. I smiled at the screen. Thanks, I typed back. I appreciate it. Anytime, he replied. That was it. No digging. No demands. I realized how rare that felt. The next few days passed quietly. Evan didn't call. I didn't either. Every part of me expected panic to set in, but instead, something settled. I started sleeping better. I started eating again. I still thought about him. About us. About how things ended. But the thoughts didn't spiral the way they used to. Lena noticed the change before I did. You haven't talked about him in 2 days, she said over coffee. I'm trying not to, I replied. That's different from pretending he doesn't exist. I'm not pretending, I said. I'm just tired. Tired of what? Feeling like I'm begging for basic care. She nodded slowly. That's progress. I didn't feel proud. I felt guilty. Guilty for not checking on Evan. Guilty for not trying harder. Guilty for not fixing something that wasn't broken by me. Daniel kept showing up in small ways. How was your day? Did you eat? No need to answer right away. Those messages felt strange at first. Almost suspicious. I kept waiting for the catch. There wasn't one. One night, I texted him first. Is it weird that I feel calmer not talking to Evan? He replied a few minutes later. Not weird. That's usually what happens when something unhealthy stops. That word stuck with me. Unhealthy. I replayed old conversations in my head. The dismissals. The jokes. The way I always felt like I was asking for too much just by asking to be included. Maybe it wasn't love holding me there. Maybe it was fear. Evan finally called 3 days later. Hey, he said. His tone was sharp. You've been quiet. So have you, I replied. That's different. How? I'm busy, he said. You're being distant. I almost laughed. I'm giving you space, I said. I didn't ask for this much space. I didn't ask to be ignored for months. There was a pause. You're changing, he said. I leaned back against the wall. Am I? You used to check in, he replied. You used to care. I still care, I said. I just don't chase anymore. That sounds passive-aggressive, he said. It's self-respect, I replied before I could stop myself. Silence followed. Wow, he said finally. So now you're turning this on me. I'm not turning anything, I said. I'm just not apologizing for existing. You're acting different, he repeated. Yes, I said. I am. He scoffed. Daniel rubbing off on you? That irritated me. Don't bring him into this, I said. Why not? Evan snapped. You talk to him now more than me. He listens, I replied. That's not my job, Evan said. Exactly, I said. Another pause. You're really doing this, he said. After everything? After everything, I echoed. You used to need me, he said. That sentence landed strangely. I needed you because you made me feel secure, I said. And then you took that away. You're blaming me again. I'm stating facts. You're cold now, he said. No, I replied. I'm calm. That's worse. I almost laughed again. Why does this bother you? I asked. You moved on. That doesn't mean you get to act like you don't care. I do care, I said. I just don't hurt myself anymore. You're acting superior, he snapped. I'm acting healed, I said quietly. That ended the call. I sat there afterward, waiting for regret to hit. It didn't. Instead, I felt something unfamiliar. Relief. Daniel called later that night. You okay? He asked. I talked to Evan, I said. How did that go? He said I'm changing. Daniel exhaled. That usually happens when someone loses control. I didn't do it on purpose, I said. I just stopped reaching. That's enough sometimes, he replied. I hesitated. Is it wrong that I feel better? No, he said firmly. It means you're healing. I feel guilty, I admitted. That's normal, he said. Guilt fades. Clarity stays. I let that sink in. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't measuring my worth by someone else's attention. I wasn't waiting for permission to feel okay. Evan texted me the next morning. We need to talk. I stared at the screen. About what? I replied. You. This attitude. I took a breath. I'm allowed to change, I typed. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. No reply. I set my phone down and went about my day. That alone felt like a victory. Later, Lena texted. Proud of you. For what? I asked. For not shrinking. I smiled. That night, lying in bed, I thought about how quietly everything had shifted. No dramatic speech. No revenge. Just distance. Just clarity. Evan wanted the old version of me. The one who apologized. The one who chased. That version wasn't coming back. And for the first time, when he accused me of changing, I didn't explain. I didn't defend myself. I didn't say sorry. I just let the silence speak for me. I found out about Evan's engagement the same way I found out about everything else lately. Casually. Lena sent me a screenshot with no warning. Did you know? I stared at the image. Evan. Smiling. His arm around Maya. A ring emoji in the caption. I waited for the pain to hit. It didn't. Instead, I felt still. Like the air around me had stopped moving. That's it? I whispered to myself. That's the moment I'm supposed to break? My phone rang a second later. Are you okay? Lena asked immediately. I think so, I said, surprised by my own voice. I feel calm. That's allowed, she said carefully. You don't have to be devastated. I thought I would be, I admitted. I imagined this hurting more than anything. And it doesn't, I said. It feels like confirmation. Of what? That I don't want him anymore. There was silence on the line. Then Lena exhaled. I've been waiting for you to say that. I hung up and sat on my couch, replaying the image in my head. Evan looked happy. And for the first time, that didn't feel like a loss. My phone buzzed again. You hear the news? Evan texted. I stared at the message for a long time. Yeah, I replied. No questions. No reactions. Thought you should know, he wrote. Didn't want it to be awkward. Awkward. Congrats, I typed back. My hands didn't shake. He didn't reply. That was it. I set my phone down and leaned back, my heart steady. No racing thoughts. No urge to cry. Just clarity. Daniel called later that evening. I heard, he said gently. Everyone has, I replied. How are you really? I took a breath. Relieved. He paused. That's honest. I thought it would hurt more, I said. But it feels like something finally closed. I'm glad, he said. Not because of him. Because of you. We met later that night for a walk. No heavy plans. Just movement. I don't want to overstep, Daniel said as we walked side by side. But I need to be honest with you. I nodded. Okay. I care about you, he said simply. More than a friend. I didn't respond right away. I'm not asking for anything, he continued. I just didn't want to keep pretending I don't feel it. I stopped walking and looked at him. Thank you for telling me. I meant what I said before, he added. You're in control here. Always. That mattered more than any confession. I'm still figuring things out, I said. I know, he replied. Take all the time you need. We walked again. I used to think history meant obligation, I said quietly. Daniel glanced at me. It doesn't. I stayed because of memories, I continued. Not because of how I was treated. That's common, he said. It's also exhausting. I laughed softly. I was tired all the time. You don't look tired now, he said. I smiled. I'm not. When we reached my place, we stood there awkwardly. I don't know what this is yet, I said. That's okay, Daniel replied. I'm not in a rush. I hesitated. But I do know one thing. What's that? I'm not going back, I said. Not to him. Not to who I was. Daniel nodded. That's enough. Later that night, Evan called. I almost didn't answer. Almost. Hey, he said. His voice sounded different. Tense. Hey. I figured you'd have something to say. About what? My engagement. I already said congrats. That's it, he asked. Yes. He laughed awkwardly. You're taking this better than I expected. So are you, I replied. He paused. You're not upset? I was, I said. Just not about this. What does that mean? It means I moved on before you put a ring on it. He didn't like that. You're acting like you don't care at all, he said. I care differently now. About Daniel, he asked sharply. That's not your business, I replied. Is that a yes, he pushed. I'm choosing myself, I said. That's the only answer you get. You really changed, he muttered. I grew, I corrected. He scoffed. Whatever helps you sleep. It does, I said honestly. There was a long pause. You used to fight harder, he said. I used to fight myself, I replied. I won't do that again. Good luck, he said flatly. I already have it, I said. The call ended. I sat there afterward, waiting for regret. None came. Instead, I felt light. The next morning, I met Daniel for coffee. You look peaceful, he said. I feel it, I replied. I want to be clear, he said carefully. I don't expect anything from you. No labels. No promises. I appreciate that, I said. I'm not ready for promises. I know. But, I added, I am ready for honesty. He smiled. I can do that. I took a breath. I want to see where this goes. On your terms, he said. Yes, I replied. Always. That afternoon, I deleted old messages. Photos. Plans I'd written in my head. Not in anger. In acceptance. That night, I lay in bed thinking about the strange truth of it all. Evan's engagement didn't break me. It freed me. Because for the first time, I wasn't choosing history. I was choosing respect. I wasn't saying yes to marriage. I was saying yes to a future that finally belonged to me. I didn't wake up one morning and decide to start something with Daniel. It happened the same way healing had, slowly, carefully, with a lot of second thoughts. We started meeting more often. Coffee. Walks. Long conversations that didn't feel like interviews or negotiations. You don't have to explain yourself, Daniel said one evening when I stopped mid-sentence. I'm not used to that, I admitted. I know, he replied. But I'm not keeping score. That sentence stayed with me. With Evan, everything had felt like a test. With Daniel, it felt like permission. Still, fear followed me everywhere. I don't want to hurt you, I said one night as we sat in my living room. Daniel looked at me calmly. I don't want you to rush. I'm serious, I said. I don't trust myself yet. That's okay, he replied. Trust grows. It doesn't get demanded. I stared at him. You really are different. I'm just honest, he said. And patient. That scared me more than chaos ever had. I worried about judgment. From friends. From Evan's family. From myself. What if people think I did this to get back at him? I asked. Then they don't know you, Daniel replied. What if Evan thinks that? Daniel shrugged. Evan thinks a lot of things that aren't true. That made me laugh. One night, after too much quiet and too many shared looks, Daniel reached for my hand. He stopped halfway. Is this okay? He asked. I nodded. Yes. The touch was simple. Warm. Real. No rush. No claim. I didn't feel owned. I felt chosen. That realization made my chest ache. I pulled my hand back a moment later, breathing hard. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be, Daniel replied. You didn't do anything wrong. I feel guilty, I admitted. Like I'm crossing some invisible line. You're not betraying anyone, he said gently. You're moving forward. I wanted to believe that. The first time we kissed, it was quiet. Careful. Daniel pulled back immediately. Okay? Yes, I said. Just, yes. I didn't feel fireworks. I felt safe. And that mattered more. A few days later, Evan found out. I didn't tell him. Someone else did. My phone rang while I was cooking dinner. Are you serious? Evan snapped the second I answered. Hello to you too, I said. You're with my brother, he demanded. I'm seeing him, I replied. Yes. What the hell is wrong with you, he said. I leaned against the counter. Why are you yelling? Because this is messed up, he replied. You don't do that. Do what? I asked. Move on? With him, he said sharply. Anyone but him. You don't get to decide that, I replied. This is betrayal, he snapped. I laughed, surprised. You're engaged. That doesn't matter, he said. That's interesting, I replied. It mattered when it was me. You're doing this to hurt me, he accused. No, I said. I'm doing this because he treats me with respect. He's my brother, Evan said. There are boundaries. You crossed every boundary we had, I replied. That was different. How? I didn't do it to spite you. And I'm not doing this to spite you, I said. I'm doing it to survive. You're unbelievable, he said. I learned from the best, I replied calmly. He went quiet for a moment. So that's it, he said. You replace me with him. I didn't replace you, I said. You removed yourself. That's convenient. It's accurate. You used to care what I thought, he said bitterly. I used to, I replied. And it almost destroyed me. He scoffed. You're really choosing him. I'm choosing myself, I said. He hung up without another word. I stared at my phone, my hand steady. No shaking. No guilt spiral. Just clarity. Daniel called later that night. He told me, he said quietly. I'm sorry, I replied immediately. For what? He asked. For putting you in the middle. I walked into this with my eyes open, he said. Are you okay? I am, I said. I think I finally am. We met later, sitting across from each other in silence. He accused me of betraying him, I said. Daniel sighed. That's Evan. He still thinks he owns parts of me, I continued. He never owned you, Daniel replied firmly. I nodded. I see that now. Daniel studied me for a moment. I need to ask you something, he said. I felt my stomach tighten. Okay. He didn't rush. He didn't soften his voice. I'm not interested in something temporary, he said. I won't pressure you. But I need honesty. I held his gaze. Do you see a future with me? He asked calmly. The question didn't scare me. It grounded me. I thought about who I was with Evan. Small. Apologetic. Afraid. I thought about who I was becoming now. Steady. Aware. Equal. Yes, I said. I do. Daniel smiled, slow and genuine. Then we'll move forward together, he said. At your pace. I exhaled, feeling something settle into place. For the first time, crossing that line didn't feel like a mistake. It felt like coming home. Daniel didn't propose the way I used to imagine proposals. There was no crowd. No speech rehearsed in front of a mirror. No pressure hiding behind romance. It happened on an ordinary evening. We were sitting on the floor of my living room, backs against the couch, eating takeout from the same container. This is terrible, I said, poking at the noodles. You chose it, Daniel replied. I regret nothing, I said, then laughed. He watched me for a moment, quiet in a way that felt intentional. Can I ask you something? He said. I glanced at him. That tone usually means something serious. It is, he said. But not scary. I nodded. Okay. He didn't rush. He didn't reach for anything. I don't want to surprise you, he said. And I don't want you to feel like you owe me anything. I set the container aside. You have my attention. He took a breath. I know your past. I know what you went through. And I know what I want. I stayed silent. I want to build a life with you, he continued. Slowly. Honestly. Without games. My chest tightened, not from fear, but from recognition. I'm not asking you to fix anything, he said. Or to fill a role. I just want to choose you. Every day. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box, then stopped. But only if you want that too, he said. Only if this feels right. He opened the box. The ring was simple. Clean. No unnecessary shine. Just like him. I didn't cry. I didn't freeze. I didn't feel the need to convince myself. Yes, I said. The word came out steady. Daniel blinked. Yes? Yes, I repeated. I'm saying yes because I want to. Not because I'm afraid of losing you. His shoulders relaxed like he'd been holding his breath for months. Good, he said softly. That's the only yes I wanted. He slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. I stared at my hand, not in disbelief, but in quiet certainty. This feels different, I said. How? He asked. I'm not begging, I replied. I'm not hoping this fixes something broken. That's because nothing is broken, he said. We stayed there for a long time, not talking. Just breathing. Just being. The next morning, my phone exploded. Calls. Messages. Missed calls. All from one name. Evan. I didn't answer. I made coffee. I sat at the table. I let the phone ring. When I finally checked my messages, they were exactly what I expected. What is this? Is this real? You can't be serious. I didn't reply. He showed up that afternoon. I heard the knock before I saw him through the door. Hard. Impatient. I opened it without stepping aside. What are you doing? He demanded. I'm living, I replied. You're engaged, he said, staring at my hand. Yes. To my brother, he snapped. Yes. You didn't even talk to me, he said. I didn't need to, I replied. This is insane, he said. You don't just move on like this. I didn't just move on, I said. I healed. You're doing this to prove something, he accused. I already proved it, I replied. To myself. He scoffed. You always needed validation. I needed respect, I corrected. I found it. You're shutting me out, he said. I closed a door you kept slamming, I replied. You owe me an explanation. I don't owe you anything, I said calmly. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. You used to fight for us, he said. I used to fight alone, I replied. You're really not even going to argue, he asked. No, I said. I'm done explaining my choices to you. He stepped closer. You can't just erase me. I didn't, I said. You erased yourself. He laughed, bitter. You think you're better than me now. I think I'm better to myself, I replied. That stopped him. Daniel appeared behind me, quiet but solid. Evan, he said. You need to leave. Evan looked at him. You planned this. No, Daniel replied. I respected his pace. Evan shook his head. This is a mistake. I've made mistakes, I said. This isn't one of them. He looked back at me one last time, searching for something. I didn't give it to him. Goodbye, I said. Daniel closed the door after him. My phone stayed silent after that. No more calls. No more messages. Just space. That night, Daniel sat beside me on the couch. You okay? He asked. Yes, I said. I really am. We can keep things quiet, he said. No rush. No pressure. I want to plan, I said. He smiled. You do? Yes, I replied. I want something real. Something steady. Then we'll do it right, he said. We started small. Dates. Lists. Conversations about what mattered. Not venues or guest counts. Values. Boundaries. The kind of life we wanted. Evan stayed outside that world. Completely shut out. No longer a voice in my head. No longer a shadow in my choices. As we talked, I realized something simple and powerful. I didn't say yes to escape loneliness. I didn't say yes to prove my worth. I said yes because I finally knew it. And this time, I didn't have to beg to be chosen. I woke up before the alarm, my heart already awake, steady but alert. Today wasn't loud in my chest the way I once imagined a wedding day would be. There was no panic. No fear of being abandoned at the last second. No tight knot of doubt asking if I was making a mistake. There was calm. Lena sat on the edge of the bed while I tied my shoes, watching me like she was trying to memorize the moment. You okay? She asked. I'm nervous, I said honestly. But not scared. She smiled. That's how it's supposed to be. I thought I'd be shaking, I admitted. You already survived the shaking part, she said. This is the reward. Daniel knocked lightly on the doorframe. Take your time, he said. No rush. That alone told me everything had changed. There was no pressure. No countdown. No fear of disappointing him. Just choice. When I stepped outside, the air felt clear. I took a deep breath and laughed softly. I'm really doing this, I said. Yes, Daniel replied. You are. The venue wasn't grand. It didn't need to be. It felt warm. Familiar. Full of people who had watched me fall apart and come back together again. As I stood waiting, my hands relaxed instead of trembling. Then I saw him. Evan stood near the back, half hidden, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to be there. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel fear. I felt distance. Lena leaned closer. Do you want me to ask him to leave? No, I said quietly. He can watch. She searched my face. You're sure? Yes. I wasn't proving anything. I wasn't punishing him. I was finished reacting. Evan looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically. Emotionally. His shoulders were tense, his expression unreadable. He looked like someone who had arrived too late and didn't know where to stand. Our eyes met for half a second. I looked away first. The music started. I took my first step forward, and something inside me settled. Each step felt deliberate. Grounded. I wasn't walking toward a promise built on hope and fear. I was walking toward peace. As I reached the front, Daniel's eyes met mine. There was no surprise in them. No relief. Just certainty. You look incredible, he said softly. So do you, I replied. I meant it in a way I never had before. The officiant spoke, but I barely heard the words. What I felt was presence. My own. Daniel's. The quiet strength between us. When it was time for vows, Daniel went first. I won't promise perfection, he said. I promise honesty. I promise patience. I promise that you never have to shrink to be loved. My chest tightened. When it was my turn, I didn't look at Evan. I didn't look at the crowd. I looked at Daniel. I spent years begging to be chosen, I said. Years believing love meant proving my worth. Daniel's hand tightened around mine. Today, I continued, I choose myself. And I choose you, not because I need you to save me, but because you walk beside me. I swallowed. I promise to speak. To listen. To never disappear when things get hard. And to love you without fear. Daniel smiled, eyes bright. When we said yes, it didn't feel like a leap. It felt like landing. The applause was soft at first, then grew. I finally glanced toward the back again. Evan hadn't moved. He looked stunned. Lost. Like someone watching a life he thought would always be there move on without him. For the first time, he had no power in the room. And I felt no urge to take any back. After the ceremony, as people hugged me and laughed, I caught snippets of conversation. You look happy. This suits you. I've never seen you this calm. They were right. At one point, Evan started toward me. Daniel noticed first. Do you want me to handle it? He asked quietly. No, I said. He won't come closer. And he didn't. Evan stopped a few steps away, uncertainty written across his face. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. I nodded politely. Nothing more. That was all he got. Later, as the sun dipped lowered and the crowd thinned, Daniel and I sat together, away from everyone else. You okay? He asked. I'm free, I said. He smiled. You always were. I shook my head. I just didn't know it yet. That night, when everything was quiet again, I thought about the version of myself who once begged for reassurance. I wished him peace. I didn't miss him. I didn't regret anything. I had walked down that aisle not to prove a point, not to win, not to hurt anyone. I walked down it choosing myself. And when I said my vows, I wasn't clinging to a future. I was standing firmly inside one I had earned. I didn't look for updates about Evan after the wedding. I didn't scroll through his pages. I didn't ask mutual friends how he was doing. I told myself that chapter was closed, and for the most part, it was. But karma doesn't need an audience. It finds its way to you anyway. The first hint came from Lena, a week after the wedding, while we were sitting on my couch eating leftovers. Have you heard anything? She asked carefully. About what? I replied. She hesitated. About Evan. I sighed. I'm not asking anymore. I know, she said. I just thought you should know. Know what? She took a breath. Maya left him. I froze for half a second. Left him? She moved out, Lena said. Apparently, they've been fighting non-stop. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel joy. I felt distance. Oh, I said. Okay. That's it? Lena asked. That's it, I replied. She studied my face. You're really done, aren't you? Yes, I said. I don't feel responsible for what happens to him anymore. That's healthy, she said quietly. More pieces came later, always secondhand, always uninvited. Daniel's cousin mentioned it over dinner. Evan's been rough lately, he said. He keeps talking about how everything fell apart so fast. Daniel glanced at me. You don't have to listen to this. It's fine, I said. And it was. His parents are frustrated, the cousin continued. They're tired of cleaning up his messes. Daniel nodded but didn't comment. I noticed something then. Nobody defended Evan anymore. Not the way I used to. A few days later, Daniel and I were walking when he spoke quietly. I heard Maya moved back in with her sister, he said. I nodded. That must be hard. Daniel stopped walking. You don't owe him sympathy. I know, I said. But I'm not heartless. He smiled gently. That's one of the things I love about you. That word didn't scare me anymore. I didn't ask questions. I didn't piece together timelines. I didn't imagine scenes. I already knew how it ended. Evan without someone to validate him. Without someone to chase. Without someone to blame. One afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message from a number I hadn't saved. It's Evan. I stared at the screen. Daniel noticed. You don't have to answer. I know, I said. I didn't open it. Another message came an hour later. I just want to talk. I set my phone face down. Later that night, Daniel wrapped an arm around me as we sat quietly. How are you feeling? He asked. Strangely neutral, I said. Like I already mourned this. That's because you did, he replied. I thought seeing him struggle would feel like justice, I admitted. And it doesn't, I said. It just feels inevitable. Daniel nodded. That's usually how karma works. Over the next week, the stories kept coming. Evan showing up late to work. Evan snapping at people who used to laugh at his jokes. Evan being called out instead of excused. The charm that once smoothed everything over didn't land anymore. People were tired. I recognized that exhaustion. I had lived inside it. One evening, my mother called. I ran into Evan's mom, she said cautiously. I closed my eyes. And? She asked how you were, my mother continued. She said you looked happy at the wedding. I am, I said. She didn't say much else, my mother added. Just that things have been hard lately. I'm sorry to hear that, I replied honestly. And I meant it. But I didn't feel pulled back. That night, Daniel and I talked about it openly. I don't want to feel like I'm celebrating his pain, I said. You're not, Daniel replied. You're just not carrying it anymore. That's the difference, I said. Yes, he agreed. You put the weight down. I thought about how Evan always landed on his feet before. How someone always softened the consequences. This time, no one did. Because no one had to. A few days later, my phone buzzed again. Can we meet? Evan wrote. Just once. I stared at the words. Just once. The same phrase he used when he wanted something from me. Daniel watched me carefully. You don't have to decide now. I know, I said. What do you want? He asked. I thought about the past version of myself. The one who would have rushed to fix things. To soothe him. To explain herself. I don't want to reopen wounds, I said. You won't, Daniel replied. You're not bleeding anymore. I nodded slowly. That night, I lay awake thinking about how strange it was. I had imagined revenge would be loud. Dramatic. satisfying. Instead, it was quiet. It was Evan sitting alone with consequences he couldn't joke away. It was me living a life that didn't revolve around him. The next morning, another message came through. Please. I need closure. I read it carefully. Closure. I almost laughed. He had closed things the moment he mocked my pain. I didn't respond. Not yet. But I knew this wasn't over. Not because I wanted it to be, but because Evan had never been good at accepting endings. And now, he was finally the one left asking for one. I agreed to meet Evan because I wanted silence afterward, not because I needed answers. We chose a quiet place halfway between our old routines, like neither of us wanted to claim territory. When I arrived, he was already there, sitting with his hands wrapped around a cup he hadn't touched. He looked up when he saw me. Hey, he said softly. Hey, I replied, sitting across from him. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Not with anger. Not with longing. With recognition. Like two people who knew exactly how much damage lived between them. You look different, he said. I am, I replied. He nodded slowly. You look calm. I feel calm. That seemed to unsettle him. I didn't think you'd come, he admitted. I almost didn't, I said. So let's be honest. Why did you want to meet? He swallowed hard. Because everything fell apart. I waited. Maya left, he said. My parents barely talk to me. People don't laugh at my jokes anymore. That sounds hard, I said. He looked up, surprised. You're not angry? I'm not here to be angry, I replied. He rubbed his face. I messed up. Yes, I said. I didn't realize it until it was gone, he continued. You were always there. You made things easier. I nodded. I know. I didn't think you'd actually leave me behind, he said. I thought you'd always be around. That's the problem, I replied. He flinched. I'm sorry. The word landed quietly between us. I'm sorry for mocking you, he said. For calling you clingy. For making you feel small. I listened. I didn't rush to forgive. I didn't interrupt. I was cruel, he continued, his voice breaking. And I see that now. I studied his face. He looked exhausted. Older. I believed you when you said you loved me, he said. And I treated that like a weakness. Yes, I said simply. Tears filled his eyes. I didn't know how good I had it. I told you, I replied. Many times. I know, he whispered. I just didn't listen. Silence stretched between us. You don't need to explain anymore, I said gently. I understand who you were to me. And who you weren't. He laughed softly, broken. You don't need me anymore. No, I said. I don't. That truth didn't hurt him the way I expected. It seemed to settle something. I kept thinking if I could just talk to you one more time, I'd feel better, he said. And do you? I asked. He shook his head. No. But I feel clearer. That's all closure really is, I replied. He wiped his eyes. I'm proud of you. I paused. Not because I needed it. Because I noticed I didn't. Thank you, I said. But I don't need your approval anymore. He nodded, slowly accepting that. I forgive you, I said. His breath caught. You do? Yes, I replied. Not because you earned it. Because I don't want to carry this anymore. That means more than you think, he said. It's not for you, I repeated calmly. He smiled sadly. I know. We sat there a little longer, no urgency pulling us back together. I won't contact you again, he said finally. I promise. I believe you, I replied. I stood up. So this is it, he said. This is it, I confirmed. As I walked away, I didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel victorious. I felt complete. For the first time, I didn't look back. And nothing inside me asked me to. I used to think healing would feel loud. Like a sudden burst of strength. Like waking up one day and realizing nothing hurt anymore. It wasn't like that. Healing was quiet. It was waking up and not checking my phone first thing. It was laughing without wondering who I needed to share it with. It was making plans without calculating how they fit around someone else's mood. Daniel noticed the changes before I did. You're lighter, he said one morning while we drank coffee at the table. I feel the same, I replied. That's because you don't notice peace when you've never had it, he said. I thought about that for a long time. Our life together wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be. We cooked dinner. We argued about stupid things like which show to watch. We really talked about fears, boundaries, money, family. When something bothered me, I said it. When something bothered him, he said it too. No guessing. No chasing. No silent punishments. One night, I caught myself waiting for him to pull away. He didn't. You're quiet, he said. I'm just realizing something, I replied. What? I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. He nodded. That makes sense. You're not offended? No, he said. I'm patient. That word still felt strange. Safe. Real. Sometimes memories of Evan surfaced unexpectedly. A song. A place. A phrase. They didn't crush me anymore. They reminded me. I remembered how I used to apologize for wanting clarity. How I begged to be chosen. How I made myself smaller to keep someone comfortable. I don't feel shame when I think about that version of myself. I feel compassion. He taught you what you won't accept again, Lena said once when I told her I felt stupid for staying so long. She's right, Daniel added later. Pain isn't wasted if it teaches you. I used to define myself by what I lost. Now I define myself by what I learned. I learned that love doesn't mock you when you're hurting. I learned that silence can be peaceful, not punishing. I learned that someone who wants you doesn't make you compete with ghosts. One afternoon, Daniel asked me a question that caught me off guard. Do you ever miss him? I thought about it carefully. I miss who I thought he was, I said. But I don't miss how I felt. Daniel smiled. That's growth. We built rituals that belong to us. Morning walks. Weekly dinners with friends. Quiet nights where we said nothing and felt everything. No one disappeared. No one withheld affection. No one laughed at the other's pain. I noticed how my body changed too. My shoulders relaxed. My breath came easier. I slept through the night. You don't flinch anymore, Daniel said once when he raised his voice jokingly. I don't have to, I replied. That realization felt like freedom. Evan became a story I told without shaking hands. without anger in my throat. When people asked what happened, I didn't explain. I didn't justify. It ended, I said. And I'm okay. And I was. One night, lying beside Daniel, I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "I'm not afraid anymore." He turned toward me. "Of what?" "Being left," I said. "Because even if it happens, I know I'll survive." He kissed my forehead. "You always would have." That sentence healed something old. I thought back to the joke that destroyed me. The word clingy. The laughter that made me feel disposable. I smiled at the memory, not because it was funny, but because it no longer had power. It was the moment everything cracked open. And from that crack, something stronger grew. I didn't become harder. I became clearer. I didn't close my heart. I learned how to protect it. I'm not the man who waited by the phone anymore. I'm the man who chooses himself without apology. And for the first time, when I look at my life, I don't measure it by what I lost. I measure it by who I became. I used to hate silence. Silence meant being forgotten. It meant waiting. It meant staring at my phone and wondering why I wasn't enough to be answered. Now, silence feels like space. Room to breathe. Room to think. Room to live. Daniel and I sat on the balcony one evening, watching the city slow down. No phones in our hands. No rush to fill the quiet. "You're smiling," he said. "I just realized something," I replied. "What?" "I don't feel like I'm proving myself anymore." He nodded. "You don't have to." "That used to be my whole life," I said. Trying to earn a place in someone else's world. "And now?" "Now I'm building my own," I said. He reached for my hand, not tight, not possessive. Just there. I thought about the word that once broke me. Clingy. I had replayed it 1,000 times in my head back then. Let it define me. Let it shrink me. Now it felt empty. Like an echo from a room I no longer lived in. "You know what's funny?" I said. Daniel smiled. Usually something honest comes after that. "I thought loving hard was my flaw," I said. "Turns out loving without dignity was." He squeezed my hand. "That's a hard lesson." "I needed it," I replied. We talked about small things after that. Work. Travel plans. What we wanted next year to look like. Not fantasies. Real things. "I want a life that feels calm," I said. "We already have that," Daniel replied. "I know," I said. "I just don't want to forget how rare it is." Later that week, Lena came over for dinner. "You look settled," she said as she leaned against the counter. "I feel settled," I replied. She studied me for a second. "You don't talk about him anymore." "I don't need to," I said. "That's how I know you're done." "I didn't erase the past," I said. "I just stopped living in it." She raised her glass. "To that." "To that," I agreed. After she left, I cleaned up slowly, humming to myself without realizing it. Daniel watched me from the doorway. "You're happy," he said. "I am," I replied. Not excited. Not high. Just steady. "That's my favorite kind," he said. I remembered how happiness used to feel like relief. Like something that could disappear if I didn't hold it tightly enough. Now it felt solid. Earned. One night, I stood in front of the mirror and barely recognized the man looking back. Not because he looked different. Because he stood differently. No hunched shoulders. No apologetic eyes. No quiet panic hiding behind a smile. I thought about the version of me who begged for reassurance. Who apologized for needing love. Who stayed after being mocked. I forgive you, I said softly to that reflection. I meant it. Daniel came up behind me. You okay? I was just thinking, I said. Dangerous, he joked. About how far I've come, I replied. He rested his chin on my shoulder. You did the work. I had help, I said. Yes, he agreed. But you chose it. That word again. Chose. I used to think being chosen by someone else was the goal. Now I knew better. Weeks passed. Life continued. Nothing dramatic happened. And that was the point. No more emotional emergencies. No more waiting for someone to decide my worth. One afternoon, my phone buzzed with a notification I didn't expect. An old memory. A photo from years ago. Evan and me, smiling at something I couldn't remember. I looked at it calmly. Then I deleted it. No anger. No sadness. Just closure. Daniel noticed. You okay? He asked. Yes, I said. I just closed a door I don't need anymore. He smiled. Good. That night, lying beside him, I thought about how this story started. With a joke. A laugh at my pain. A word meant to dismiss me. Clinging. I almost laughed now. I hadn't been clinging to him. I had been clinging to hope. And letting go of that hope didn't destroy me. It saved me. I turned to Daniel. Thank you. For what? He asked. For seeing me when I couldn't see myself. He brushed his thumb over my knuckles. You were always there. You just needed space to grow. I closed my eyes, feeling full in a way I never had before. Not full because someone chose me. Full because I chose myself. I didn't need to prove my strength. I lived it. I didn't need revenge. I had peace. I didn't need his regret. I had my life. And as sleep finally pulled me under, one thought stayed clear and steady in my mind. I stopped clinging. And that's when I finally started living.